All right, so we're going to look at this Chapter 1 Body Mass Index file, and let's talk about what they're asking you to do. So body mass index is a function of a person's height and weight, specifically the ratio of the mass in kilograms to the square of the height in meters. So body mass index is used to approximate whether your weight is appropriate for your height or whether you're overweight. So they gave you a formula here, weight in pounds times 0.45, and then height. So we're going to use that in a minute. But the first thing they did here is they ask you to convert the height into inches. So let's talk about it. If I was 1 foot tall, that would equal 12 inches, right? So 1 foot equals 12 inches. So if I was 2 feet tall, that would equal 24 inches. So the way that you get the number of inches from the number of feet is to multiply by 12. So the number of inches times 12, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The number of feet times 12 will tell you the number of inches. Okay, so I'm 5 feet 2 inches. So 5 feet means 5 times 12, and that'll give me how many inches there, but I still got those 2 extra. So in order to calculate this, I would have to say 5 times 12 plus the 2 extra inches. But we want to use cell references. So where's the 5 located in our spreadsheet? It's located at C7. So this would end up being C7 times 12 plus, and where's 2 inches located? 2 inches is located at C8. So we would do C8. So that's the formula that we're going to be typing for the inches, to convert the height to inches. So take a minute and do that, and then we'll come back and check and make sure you got the right answer. All right, so let's check our formatting, and let's see what it tells us to do. It says convert the height into inches, but it doesn't say anything about format with decimal places or anything like that. So our answer is good. So now we want to do the next step, which is to calculate the the body mass index. So we're going to use this formula over here. So our first step is to convert that formula into a horizontal format. I can't type fractions and things like that in Excel. So I have to think about my order of operations. So order of operations tells us to do the numerator first, and then do the denominator, and then divide them. So in order to do the numerator first, I have to have parentheses. So parentheses, weight times 0.45, close my parentheses, divided by parentheses, height times 0.025, all of that raised to the second power. Okay, so look at this for a second. Order of operations. I'm going to do the parentheses first, weight times 0.45, and then I'm going to do these parentheses, height times 0.025. Exponents are done before anything else, so please excuse E is the next thing. So PEMDAS, many of you may have learned. So the exponent's going to be done next, and then the division. So this is our proper order of operations. So in this pink chart here, where is the weight? The weight is right here at 145, right? The weight is located at C11. So instead of typing weight, we're going to type C11. And where is the height in inches located? The height is right here at 62. It's at F9. So we want F9 there. Right? So that's going to be the formula that we're going to type in this cell for B that will give us the body mass index for somebody who is 5 foot 2 inches tall and 145 pounds. So I'm going to give you a minute to type that formula in to find the body mass index. Alright, so this is our body mass index for this person. Let's check our directions. So our directions say in cell F12, use the appropriate formula to calculate the body mass index, and type that formula in cell C11. It doesn't tell us anything about formatting, so we're good. We don't have to worry about numbers or decimals or anything like that. So 27.2 looks good. Okay, so now let's look at this chart. So we want to apply the same formula to this chart. So let's focus on this yellow cell right here. And I want to use that formula that I have written right here, weight times 0.45, height times 0.025, caret 2, but I want to use it on this formula, on this cell. Well, the weight for this cell is 105. It's located at C26. The height for this cell is the 60. It's located at B27. So I want you to type the formula, but you're going to be using C26 and B27. So that's what we're going to be doing in here. So C26 is our weight, and our height is B27. Okay? Alright, so I want you to type that formula in to our first cell here. Alright, so notice when I type that in there, I got 21.0. So make sure you used your parentheses, right? And make sure you typed your formula correctly and you put your equal sign. So for the next cell down, the one right below it, right below the 21, so I'm going to highlight that one in yellow, I would be typing, for that one, I would be doing C26, because my weight is still in C26, times 0.45 divided by, but my height is now in B28 instead of B27. So I would want to do B28 times 0.025 raised to the second power. Okay, now the problem is that I don't want to type 100 formulas. I don't want to sit here and keep typing that formula over and over and over again. It's a waste of my time. I want to be able to click and drag the formula down. So I'm going to open this view up so that you can actually see the formula. And we already talked about what we want the formula to be. But if I click on this and I drag like we learned in the earlier ones, it didn't work because this is C27 and it's supposed to be C26. That's what we just talked about. Now the B is good, but the C is not. So notice what's happening here is I want the 26 to stay the same. So in order to make that work, we use what we call referencing. We use cell referencing and we use a mixed reference. So mixed means that I want the 26 to stay the same, but I want the C to possibly change. So we'll talk about that. So if I put a $sign in front of the 26, right? If I put a $sign in front of the 26, then what that tells the computer is that the 26 is never going to change. The C can change, but the 26 will never change. So now what happens is when I drag it down, notice how it's always C26. This is called a mixed reference. So now let's talk about this one. So now we're looking at this green cell right here underneath the 110. And what do I want the green cell to be? Well, These are my yellow ones right here. Okay, so now we're talking about the green cell that's right here next to it. What do I want the green one to be? What is the weight at the green cell? The weight is at D26. So I want this to be D26 times 0.45 divided by, where's the height? The height is right here in B27. So I want to do B27 times 0.025 raised to the second power. Now, if I take this same formula that I typed here that I thought was pretty good, and I drag it to the right, well, I get D26. That's exactly what I expected, right? But I got C27 instead of B27. So this time, I want the letter to stay the same. I want the B to stay the same, but the 27 to change, right? I want it to be 27 and 28. So I want to put a $sign in front of the B. And what happens now is that when I drag it now, the B will not change. So look at it now. Now I've got D26, which is what I want, and I've got B27, which is what I want, and so I got a good formula. So now I can drag this throughout the whole spreadsheet and get my formulas in all the spreadsheets without having to type it repeatedly in the problem. So what happens though if I put a $sign on the B and the 27? Well, then what happens is when I drag it down, it's B27 every single time, but we already said it should be 28. So if you put the $sign on the number, only the number won't change, will stay the same. If I put the $sign on the letter, then the letter will stay the same. If I put the $sign on both of them, then both of them stay the same. It's a constant. It never changes. So be careful about that and make sure you practice with your $signs, and then you're going to fill this in. So what I'd like for you to do now is fill in your chart with all of your values, and we'll come back. All right, so our next step is we're looking at our charts. So for step 5, they want you to create a clustered bar chart that shows body mass index for 115 pounds as a function of height. And then here's our directions. It says select B27 through B36 and E27 through E36. So B is this column here with height, right? And E is this column here with 115 pounds. But if I try to drag, I end up selecting too much information. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to click on the 60 and we're going to highlight down. Now I'm not clicking on anything. I'm going to press the Control B button on my keyboard and hold it down, and then I'm going to select the 23 through the 174. Oops, I did too much. There we go. So notice that I've got just these two columns highlighted. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you how again I did it. I clicked on the 60, I highlighted down, press down the Control button, and then press on the 23 and highlight to 17.4. So I've highlighted B27 through B36 and E27 through E36. Now I want to go to Insert, Recommended Chart, and the directions are telling me that I want a clustered bar. This is a clustered column. This is a clustered bar. So I want to choose the clustered bar. You go back to my instructions. Choose a clustered bar. Select Style 4 on the Design tab. Okay. So Style 4. I've got my tab open here, so I can pick 4, or I can pick it using the paintbrush, remember. Okay, so I'm going to pick style 4. Add a chart title and put it above the chart and replace it with BMI for 115 pounds. So we're going to change our chart title to say BMI for 115 pounds. Okay. Now, the next step, there's a mistake in the wording. It says add an axis title for the horizontal axis and replace it with height in inches. So, when we look at this chart, our height is over here, 60, 61, 62. Those are our heights. These are our body mass indexes. The heights are on the vertical axis, not the horizontal. So we want to select the vertical axis. Oops. We want to select the vertical axis. We want a title right here, not horizontal. And we're going to change that to say height inches. Okay. All right, let's look at our directions again. So horizontal, which I told you was a mistake, should be vertical. With height in inches, add the data labels and choose inside end option. Okay, so we're going to go back to our plus sign. And remember, if you don't have a plus sign, you can do it up here with add chart elements. I'll do it that way this time. We're going to add chart elements. We want to do data labels. Right now, none is selected. If I choose center, notice how over here, whoops, I'm going to choose center for a second. I get these numbers down the center of my chart. Okay, I don't want center. Okay. Data labels. Inside the end, see how they move to the end of it? Inside the base, now they're right here. Oops, they're right there. Data labels outside the end, and data callouts. Well, we wanted inside the end. So notice how it's telling me right here inside the ends of these bars what my values are. Okay, so let's go back. So those are all the instructions for step 5. And so we want to put this chart in our first box. Now we have to create 2 more charts, and I'm going to let you do those charts. I'm going to show you a picture of what those charts are supposed to look like. So one of the charts is a 3D, it says 3D columns. This is what a 3D column chart looks like. And here's our height, and here's our weight, and here's our BMI, okay? The other one that they're asking you to create is a, I lost my place, is a line chart, okay? So a line chart looks like this one, where you are just getting a line that's basically connecting the data points. So you want to create a line chart for this one. So I hope this helps, and I hope you're having a good semester still.